discussing education itself, I have to approve of that. But there are some real problems that are worth bearing in mind. Caution needs to be taken. And I brought up some of those earlier, but one caution is, let me give you an example. I teach asylum seekers every Saturday in Chunking Mansions. And these guys hate gay people. They're very well educated often, they're well educated Muslims. It makes noise, so I'll put this down. But yet they say things like, if my daughter were born lesbian, I'd kill her. Now, we can't agree with that, but that is a distinct value difference. My automatic impulse is to say, come on, what are you saying? But there is a fundamental chasm. And this has to be remembered. There really is a difference of different societies in the world as to what basic values are. The same thing has to do with equality of men and women. I mean, I believe that as deeply as anything I believe, yet a lot of the men I know certainly don't believe it. They think wives should be at home bearing babies. And if women talk too much, they should be punched. Now, again, that's disgusting views for us, but there are value differences in the world. This comes back to what we're seeing here, that these videos, and I'm speaking particularly of Daphne Keller's video, are very Western in their values often. In science and technology and business, fine. But when you come to other values, it becomes really a problem. And I don't know what the solution to this problem is. Part of me says, hey, people have some of these values. I think they're bad values. Let's teach them. But on the other hand, hey, who am I to say what's right or what's wrong? And I'm aware of the legacy of my country, the United States, which is widely hated around the world, it seems, for telling other people what to do. Let me give you one example. I had one asylum seeker tell me, you know, I hate the U.S. because Hillary Clinton came in and told us in Kenya, we need to accept gay people or we wouldn't get any more aid from the U.S. Who is she to tell us that? She's violating our rights. Now, I mean, I completely repudiate his view, but what am I supposed to say to that? The view is that we have our values, our Western values, and are placing these on other people, and who are we to say we know anything? Again, for the technological disciplines, fine, but as soon as you get into the humanities, you've got fundamental differences of value, and maybe you can say, let's teach them our way of doing it, it's better, but that has problems. Or maybe you could say, let's practice cultural relativism, that has problems too. I don't know what the answer is. These videos don't address this. And I count the second video too as offering a basically Western view based on his education. How do we get around what I've just said? Now, I am a liberal myself. I am a liberal like these people are. I just signed up to get arrested at Occupy Central today. I can't believe I did that. But anyway, you know, I am practicing liberal values. I've also been fighting against Anglo-American hegemony in anthropology very much. I've been trying to get more and more anthropological literature online so that anthropologists from the developing world can have the same sophistication and analysis because of what they read as those in the developed world can. I dislike Anglo-American hegemony and I'm fighting it in any way I can. So I'm saying I share the values of the people whose videos we've seen tonight. I'm not Rush Limbaugh here. I mean, I really do share these values. But all I want to say is we've got to be really careful. I argue that MOOCs, and that's what I want to talk about here, based particularly on this first video, can have a remarkably important place. I celebrate them, and you know, I'm hoping when I retire to have a computer terminal off on an island someplace and read every great book ever written. Everything will be on a computer screen then. Who could ever argue with that? If you do have Harvard, Yale, Princeton courses you can watch, terrific. Who can argue with that? But let's look at a downside of this. Universities everywhere are looking into MOOCs. And why are they looking into MOOCs? Not because they want to help the world. They're looking at it for money. Because if you have a Harvard professor teaching a class, instead of having your own professor teaching a class, fire your own professor, downgrade him, and have a Harvard professor teaching. So I would anticipate that in a few decades, we're going to have Harvard, Yale, Stanford, a few other universities, the equivalent of Apple, General Electric, IBM, Nokia, Samsung, the big companies of the world. They're going to franchise. They're not going to do this for free. They're not crazy. Daphne Keller up here is going to be around for a little while, but pretty soon, accreditation's going to come in. Money is going to be involved, and it's going to be, okay, hey, $3,000 or $5,000 for this degree instead of paying $50,000, you know, or $20,000 instead of $200,000. That's the way it's going to go, and that will be a rather frightening matter. MOOCs aren't going to kill top universities. The top 50 universities in the world are going to continue, but they are going to kill everyone else. Now, here's the question. Who cares? And you could realistically say, who cares about a bunch of professors? They're a bunch of elites anyway. Get rid of them. Let them drive taxis. I'd be a terrible taxi driver, but I won't argue with you on this. You may well be right. But that still may be a real problem, because it seems to me that many of the local teachers you've got are a real force for liberalism and for good in a given society. Let's look at Hong Kong. Who are the organizers of Occupy Central? They're Benny Tai, Chan Kin Man. These guys are associate professors. They're relatively low on the academic totem pole. They're, frankly, second-tier academics and second-tier universities. They are leading an important civic campaign, but they're exactly the kind of people that MOOCs would render unemployed. By the way, I don't mean to say that to them. I would get unemployed too, but you get the idea here. That's what would happen. And yet, these are the kinds of voices that any community needs. It needs local people who understand local conflicts and are able to bring up their voices. If instead you have the corporatization of universities by having a few professors from very rich universities speaking globally, what's going to happen is all those Benny Tais, all those people like me too, will be off in a cubicle grading. Because I don't think Daphne Keller's grading is going to work in humanities and social sciences. And they're all going to be grading, and they're going to be paid, oh, you know, a few dollars an hour basically to do this, like adjuncts are today. You're going to have an entire class of professors that will be rendered irrelevant. Again, is this terrible? By some people's views, no, but it seems to me you need that intellectual class in society to be able to do the kinds of things that I think we're seeing with something like Occupy Central. These do represent voices against power in local corners around the world, and that's going to give way. Now, do I fully believe what I'm saying? No, not to be honest with you. In a sense, MOOCs are like the internet. You know, when the internet first came in, a lot of people were saying, oh, this is great, this is terrific, this is the future, it's going to liberate everyone. Other people said, oh no, it's going to make us all really, really, really stupid. We won't be able to pay attention to anything anymore. Both of these are true in different aspects. MOOCs are going to be the same kind of thing. And, you know, of these talks, my own view is I believe 90% of this stuff. These are damn good. I'm glad we were shown these. I'm inspired to do a better job in my life. But the big message I want to give you is that caution needs to be taken, because the road to hell is paved with good intentions. That doesn't mean don't try to do good things in the world. It doesn't mean do nothing, but it does mean do something with your eyes wide open. These people may have their eyes wide open and we just couldn't see it in a 20-minute video like this, but real care needs to be taken in any of these, because the ultimate consequences we can't know. And we all are changing the world in what we do. It's a matter of how we change it. So, caution. Okay, that's all I got to say.